sort of. May need that too. Why not? Okay. So, quick updates for everybody. Anybody that wants my email, here it is. Focus. Matty05 at AOL.com. Anybody wants to contact me, they can there. These are the stickers everybody gets if you buy tools. If anybody's interested in crank tools, they can email me. If anybody's interested in 288 high tops, there are some samples right now on eBay. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have the next version coming out, which should be even better. So, yeah. So let's see here. Let me bring you up on the phone for those people that are not live right now. If you're watching later, this is a whole lot more fun to watch live, so please join us live if at all possible. I know that YouTube has not been giving out notifications quite as well lately, but whatever. I bring it up here that way I can answer questions. Anybody that wants to ask questions, they can do so. So, I have a 266. Now, and I've brought this up a zillion times, has to do with buying used saws and me kind of versus everybody else. So I can go ahead and buy these things and it's not that big of a deal for me because I get to hang out with you guys. But for most people, every dollar counts. So when you're buying used chainsaws, sometimes free is too much. Okay, so you got to be real careful with what you pay for used chainsaws, especially these older ones. If you aren't extremely careful with what you're paying for them, you are going to get stuck with a problem. So, any of these older saws, it would be an extreme rarity if it's been used at all. It would be an extreme rarity to not need a full teardown. Unless something is literally new old stock, and even then, if something is new old stock and it's 20, 30 years old, you're going to be pulling all the rubber out of it anyway because it's done. So, very, very important. Just anticipate doing teardowns on these things. So, and there's a few things that can, give you red flags as far as like what to tear down and not and this and that, but we can certainly go over that. Okay, Sunday morning, 11:30 in the morning. Waiting for people to show up. There's 2 people here. I think people aren't getting notifications. So, to give you guys a little bit of foreshadowing, you guys all know about the 288 high tops. So if anybody wants 288 high tops, they can contact me and or go on eBay right now and get the samples. But the thing is that if the project goes well and people buy them, this is the way to support me, guys. If people buy them, then I can move on to other projects that are really cool. If it doesn't get bought, then projects die. That's what happens. So I'll just say this: there's a reason I bought a 266 here. Yeah, we're going to call this poorly packed. No bubble wrap at all. Just some paper. Okay. Whatever. Here's the saw, but this was literally what else was in there. Paper? Come on. I'm going to call that poor packaging. Okay. Garbage here. And this box we can use for something else. I may just use this for pulling parts off of this. So, okay, so what do we got? Good old-fashioned 266. Looks like a mini 288, effectively. Kind of hard to tell right off the bat what the difference is. But basically looks like a miniature 288. This one looks dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Missing a couple of screws, kind of per usual. This is a 266 SE, and they have the smooth dog on here for whatever reason. Were they racing with it? Who knows? An interesting screw here. Why did they have the exhaust facing backwards? I mean, so as a general rule, whatever you paid for this is too much. For most people. So let's start taking her apart. Why not? Right to metal holders. That's actually in pretty nice shape. Dirty, but pretty nice shape. That thing gets powdered, that'd be pretty nice. Cool. Even the rubber's okay. All right. Why is this on backwards? Maybe this. This guy. Okay, maybe. Maybe. So with something like this, it's like, oh, runs good. Yeah, whatever. No, tear it down. It's fascinating, though, just looking at it, like, how, in some cases, like, there's so little wear. Like, this has never thrown a chain. Look at that. That's never thrown a chain. How interesting is that? Clutch still tight. Okay. So I'm not even going to do a compression test because there's no point. Morning, mechanic. 266 SE on the bench. Great. These screws here are like just... Somebody put wood screws in here for the handlebar. No, just throw them away. That's not what you want to be using. SE special edition, I guess. I don't know. Special edition? Swedish edition? I don't know. This fit in there better. Nope. This one is like my favorite flathead screwdriver. Hey Keith, morning. Yeah, they had, I think they had 266 SE and 266 XP. The rare one, I think, is the closed port design. I think that's the more rare one. I don't know which one this is. I assume that this is the open port, but who knows? Air filter, the screws are kind of buggered, which means it's been kind of on and off a few times. Something I wanted to check. I wanted to see if the 288 is the same. So this is missing a gasket. Don't run the saw missing a gasket. That's kind of not smart. Is this the same? It is the same. Cool. The horn is not quite the same. It's a different horn, I think, but the 288 horn might actually work. There's no posterior support on this one. The question will be, does the 288 horn work? And we will certainly investigate that eventually. That's cool. Okay, so the 288 gasket does work on here. That's probably the same as a 288 also. $10 says you could use the same carburetor too as a 288. Just a guess. So the easier way here is just to basically pull the head off and do the party trick thing. Let's get there carefully. A lot of 8mm stuff on these. So these are actually studs, so looks like instead of the nut coming off the end, the stud's coming out. Yeah, we're just going to pull this apart here and kind of see what, I mean, so some indications on whether a saw is worn or not. Look at the wear here. It's almost non-existent. Again, this thing is like never thrown a chain. There's almost no chain slap. A little bit here, but almost no chain slap. So that's pretty interesting, to say the least. The dog bolts are also case bolts. Don't use these. Usually I prefer dogs, but whatever. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, we're doing a 266, and there is a reason we're doing a 266, by the way. How am I going to get that stud out? Seems like I don't want to go. Okay. It ain't going. Look, put a dent there. Looks like she's stuck. It don't want to go in. Fine, grind it. Great. Love the Dremel. It's just a lip that won't allow it to go back through, so you have to get rid of the lip, that's all. That helps. Not yet. And more lip, okay. faster way here is just to grind the stud off and say hell with it. Haha. Now the nut finally came off. Now you're left with the stud. Can I just say that it's a terrible design? I can't stand seeing stuff like that. That drives me crazy. Okay. I might send this guy out for blasting. That would probably be a good idea. Really nice to get the baffle out of that darn thing, but whatever. Good. This is gonna, luckily this one's gonna unscrew. Just okay, reason or is it top secret? What reason? So, yes, there is a reason. Wait. So you guys know I'm doing the 288 top covers. Basically, the desire is to keep projects going and see, you know what I mean. See what we can do for other saws. So, the problem that I have is that if the 288 top covers don't get bought, then I can't move forward. And right now, that's kind of where I'm at, is that it ain't happening. Metal screws. Are they metal studs in here? No. So they clearly used the wrong screws for that. Okay. Six people here. So as you guys know, I mean, I like hanging out with everybody. I mean, I just do. But what we've got going on right now is I used to have like 20, 30 people here in the chat pretty easily. Now, either I've become uninteresting or something else is going on. Maybe I'm uninteresting, but everybody was clamoring for 288 high top covers, so I made them. And now we got nobody buying them, which is at least interesting. These are actually 1/4 and 3/16 head bolts. Again, I'm just going to take one look at this saw and it comes right apart. I don't even think about trying to diagnose anything. There's no time wasted diagnosing anything here. You know, maybe the fuel line's good, maybe it's not. No, it's not. right off. I forgot about my throttle rod. Very simple little piece. Closed port. Scored. So something's up that caused the score. Doesn't matter. The whole thing gets torn down anyway. Like I said. Tear the whole thing down. Okay, so I think for the rest of this we don't need the 3/16 Allen anymore. That way for the moment. Go back to 4mm and pull off carburetor. Well, then all we gotta do is look at this and say, okay, would a 288 carburetor work? And it might. This is a Tillotson 163 carb. And this is actually, so yeah, intake block, boot, intake block and baffle rather. Hopefully this head cleans up. Yes, exactly. But Aaron, here's the problem. Here's the problem. This is not like, this is not a small thing. So the reason that nobody else did the 288 high top covers, the reason you haven't seen them for 20 years, that they're a unicorn, is that they are insanely expensive to make. That's the problem. Boy, that's like an unused spark plug. Somebody went in here and tried to change a few things and didn't realize the whole thing was scored. So yeah, so the 288 high top covers are just insanely expensive to produce. So that's the reason nobody's done them. And because they were, even though everybody really likes them, for whatever reason, everybody also suspected that they may or may not sell. So this is a block that's actually screwed on. It's a two-piece block. So this may end up getting changed out to a 272 setup. If I can find a... This needs to get changed to a 272 setup, basically. I got to figure out... The thing with the 266 tops is that nobody makes them. So there might be quite a few people that need 266 tops, including this one. But again, going back to the 288 tops, the 288 tops are insanely expensive to make. I mean, absolutely, like, life savings, insanely expensive. So basically, from what I gather, nobody out there was willing to put up for that. And after doing a lot of research, I figured that I would pull the trigger on that. So I've got it. We've definitely got them. They definitely are going to be awesome. They'll be better than OEM, in fact. But I blew the whole load on that. So I cannot spend more money. I can't go to anything else until basically the 288 tops become successful. That's the problem. So absolutely all my eggs in one basket type of thing. And basically everybody's like, yeah, do it. So I did it. And then they have not even remotely close to sold as many as I thought they would. Does that make sense? See where I'm at? And now, right when I need, YouTube to be helping me out here and get my subs on my live feed, for whatever reason, it ain't happening. And maybe nobody's logging on. That's maybe there's something else that everybody else is doing. That's fine. I don't see a problem with that. People are uninterested, they're uninterested. That's just the way that goes. And I have to live with that. But from what I've seen, from what I've gathered, I think people are really interested in the 288 high tops. It's just the word isn't getting out. So this is in good shape. 2-piece ignition. My understanding is that these things are basically unicorns also. Trying to find this is really not easy. So I'm happy to do stuff, but I need support. And somebody else the other day brought up the whole super chat topic, and I'm just like, no, not willing to do that. I'd rather go broke than do that. And the reason is, because I don't want people to be getting something from me for nothing. Yeah, I understand I give you guys information, but I get as much out of that deal as you guys get out of it. As far as like, I get to hang out with you guys, and to me, that's awesome. You guys get some information. We both get to learn all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, for sure, Aaron. Yeah, I know, but the thing is, like, people have bought. We're buying the buying these things at $600. They were buying OEM that looked like they've been dragged behind a truck for $100. So I have a hard time believing that the price that I've got on them is unreasonable right now. Really don't want to lose that screw. So yeah, so I'm definitely hoping that they will, once I get the next version in like a week and a half, hopefully. If I get the next version going, hopefully that'll start taking off a little more. These are like 16 millimeter, 12 millimeter. The front ignition coil bolts, 16 millimeter. I've got lots of those though. So I might just put these back. I I don't know if I'm going to have these cases powdered or not. I'm thinking not, because they're pretty intact. There's really not a lot of repair to do. Nice looking cases overall. Just need to be cleaned up, you know. Gonna pull. This out. Throw that one out. Yuck. That looks like it's like riveted on, so in order to get this out. Great. Hey, Tom. So yeah. So this is the split. This is where that split piece comes in. There we go. Okay. Just want to see if I can grab this plastic piece and pull it out. It may not come out easy. That's fine. I'll clean that up there as is. That's fine. Okay, so let's pull off the piston, pull off the flywheel. So unfortunately, this piston is shot. Full circle piston. Go. Pop out the wrist pin. That gets chucked. Unfortunately, this piston gets chucked. That's a shame. Ooh, maybe a cool new opportunity to use my my puller here. So let's do that. All right, so nylon rope. We're going to do the clutch just like that. And this is old school. So this is actually the really heavy thread. Old school. Okay. Worm and a washer. Good. I'm going to put clutch's caps off actually. Don't want to lose that. I want to keep that in that order. Can't you reuse the wrist pin? Yeah, I can, but why? That's the thing. The new piston is going to come with a brand new wrist pin. So there's really not a whole lot of point. I probably have other wrist pins sitting around too, so it just doesn't make any sense for me to attempt to reuse that. The pin bearing, though, on the other hand, that is important to hold on to. Pop that off. Piece has kind of been through the ringer. Whatever, that'll be fine. 8 millimeters. I'm going to pull the pawls off. The wrist pin is of little consequence, Tom. OEM or not, I'm not convinced that it'll be a meteor wrist pin, which is fine. I've not seen problems with the wrist pins. It's the pin bearings that are the problem. You definitely want to be an OEM part. Would you rather a brand new aftermarket meteor wrist pin or a used OEM wrist pin that was not necessarily made for that particular piston? In this case, no, you want the. I'd say you definitely want the new wrist pin. So some wrist pins, like for instance, you could make a case for an OEM wrist pin on a 660. The reason is because on a 660, they have tapered light wrist pins. So that just goes in there. Now for years I was just, popping these off kind of the other way. But this set I picked up on eBay. It's a McCullough puller. I think it was like 23 bucks. Worked on my 394. Or 288, sorry. Watch this. Let's do this. There you go. Sometimes it's not about force, sometimes it's about impact. Yeah, it's kind of crappy. That's already bent. That's right. I'll have my buddy replicate this. The plate is actually bending. That's how tight that was on there. If in doubt, get a hammer out. Hey, Max. Well, yeah, bent a 1/4 inch plate. See that? Safe, yeah, more or less. But I'm a dentist. I'm never safe. Literally pretty much the highest risk profession, and at least in this type of climate. So yeah, so heat, you do have to be careful on flywheels because of the magnets. You might screw up the magnets, which you don't want to do. I've whacked these things away for years, and you know, just be nice to not bugger threads for once, you know. So this is a seal holder similar to a 262. That was a little on the loose side, actually. But what happens with these is the seals open up over time because they get hard and brittle. Before I do that, let's pull this out, the key. I may not be able to get it. Huh. Woodruff key doesn't want to come. Alright, fine. Well, you can pull the seal anyway. It doesn't really matter. You're gonna be buggering the seal anyway, so. There. Yeah, those aren't seals anymore. It's hard. The rubber, not supple. It's not gonna seal. But this has a double seal on it. It's got an O-ring on the outside and the seal. So you have to change out both. So let's look in here. So you can look at this saw and actually look at it and say, you know what, at least from a paint perspective, the amount of use has not been tons. This wasn't out logging. This is probably just used for firewood and somebody was screwing around with it. So let's get a good look in here and see exactly why I do what I do, which is see that bearing in there? My light. Here's my light. Crusty. Get rid of it. Put a new bearing in. These are 6202s. They're like $5 for Natchies. Why would you not put a new bearing in this thing? Every day of the week, new bearing. New bearings and seals. Because that's what this needs. And if you go into the build anticipating anything less, it just means you don't know what you're talking about. You know, it just means you didn't do your homework. For Pete's sake, people, do your homework. Old saw. Change out the bearings and seals. But, I've had, no. Change out the bearings and seals. These are AV screws. We're actually pretty short, like 10 or 12 millimeters. Ball head Allen is helpful here. Oh, and of course this is like really tight. Come on. Really, people? Really? My dad has been logging 38 years. Yeah, and to some loggers, they take care of their stuff. Others, they just throw it around and whatever, you know. So much like the 288, the oiler has the integral seal here with it. And again, it's a double seal. So does this have push-out holes or no? Because these darn things really get in here. Some of these oilers actually have holes where you can stick something down in there and kind of push it out. Here we go. Go. Pop. That comes out. And again, just that's my fingernail on what should be rubber. Come on. Aaron, if you have the pro stuff, it basically is always worth fixing. Even if you need to get some part saws or whatever, you know, put a few together. There's always some usable stuff on these. Always. And think about it, like every stinking screw on here is like $2, maybe $3. So once Husky charges an insane amount for these things. So you have to come to the conclusion that there's, even if it's been through a fire, there's all kinds of stuff that's actually still usable, you know? I'm just going to put these screws back here. A couple of threads in, just so I don't lose them. So it's the same deal with the bearing over here. It's all crusty. Yuck. So it may feel smooth. That may feel smooth to you. It may be good. But it isn't. Those bearings are all crusty. Get rid of them. Okay, rest of the AV mounts. Let's get this handle off. These are pretty easy to break down. I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time here. That's broken down. It's really in pretty nice shape. Just needs to be cleaned up. The AV mounts are good. No issues there. Now we gotta crack the case. Yeah, that's what we gotta do. So let's give it a little crack. Two bolts done there. The rear bolt here. And 4 around the crankcase. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1. That should be it. Let's crack her. See what happens. So this is a Husky style aftermarket case splitter. The OEM Husky ones are really not that expensive, so very worthwhile to get from your dealer. Or you can get this. I upgraded this with a piece of 5/8 all thread. Makes my life easier. 8 people here. Who else is here? Up. Make sure it's separating properly. You didn't forget a bolt. You do that. Okay, again, same as 288. The bolts are essentially the same. Just the bearings are smaller. These are 6202s as opposed to 6203s. Get it pretty good, and then I give it a tap just to encourage it. Same deal. Hammer if you want. There you go. Just get it over the initial top there. My splitter away. Ooh, the woodruff key is in the way. It won't come out without that. I have no idea why that stinking thing is not coming out. That's kind of annoying. Okay. Okay. Here's your case half. Time to go clean it. Well, before I clean this up, we can hit it with the heat, pop these bearings out. Pull out the oiler first. Am I missing comments, guys? I haven't seen anything lately. Everything good? Okay. 9 people here. Who's here? Right. Hit this with the heat. Put a few things away first. That. I've shown you guys how to do this without heat. You can do it with or without, whatever you want to do. There's one. Cool on the concrete floor. I'm not going to go anywhere to do anything. That's one. It's gone midnight here. Wow. Trying to stay awake, watch the build. Well, right now, I'm just going to take this to the point of getting this apart here, and then I'm going to go clean it, which is going to take me at least a week or two. I don't know. Take me a bit. So, unfortunately, no pop tonight on this, but we've gotten it this far. I think it's pretty good, right? Not too much more here, Tom. Sorry to disappoint. Good. So again, anybody doing a build like this, don't even think about like trying to fix it, this, that, the other. No. Just tear it down. Don't even. I would not. Oh, maybe it needs a new carburetor. No, come on. No. No. Tear it down. Needs new seals. By the time you pull the seals out, you're gonna find out the bearings are all gunked. It's done. It needs a tear down. So do not spend too much money for these things. They're just not worth it. It's going to take all kinds of time to do all this stuff. So I can spend money on these because I get to hang out with you guys. But you guys, if you're looking for value, you have to be real careful. Know what you're buying before you buy it. Know what it's actually worth. And I've given this formula before, but it's very simple. Take, or if you're looking at a saw, if you're looking at this one, right? If you're looking at this saw, you're saying, okay, what's it going to take? Well, what's it really worth? Assuming it was fully rebuilt. New carburetor. New bearings, new seals, OEM this and that, blah, 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 etc. Completely rebuilt in current cosmetic shape. What's it worth? Then figure out what it'll take to get the saw to that point. Do the math. Now you have a math problem. Okay, if it's going to take $400 in parts, which it might, now you got to figure out what actually, what to do there. See what I'm saying? Just a math problem. Figure out what your time's worth, how many hours it's going to take to do it. This is what it's going to take. That's what the saw is worth, whatever it is. Might be a negative number. You know what I mean? If it's a negative number, you might want to part it out. Just some thoughts, like, be real careful with these things about what you spend. It's real easy to spend way too much. So, anybody wants to get in touch with me, they can just look at the thumbnail on this for my email. I do have, most importantly, 288 high top covers. Again, these are just samples, but they are on eBay, and guess what? They work just fine. So, the issues we're going to figure out, we're actually going to get rid of the holes, and you guys can drill your own hole. We're We're going to go to a matte finish. These look really nice as they are, but I think it would be better in a matte finish. And we're actually going to leave this area glossy. We're going to, that way the stickers stick better. Yeah, and this right here, this corner kind of potato chips a little bit, and this edge kind of curls in just a tad. So they're going to make cooling jigs so that these cool better, and so those are going to be available hopefully in about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. So those models, and the price will go up for those, just so everybody knows. If anybody wants top covers, that's what you're going to get. These are actually glass fiber reinforced. They are very strong, possibly stronger than OEM, because these are actually glass fiber reinforced. Anybody that's interested, please check out eBay. And my website is coming. It'll be mattschainsawparts.com. So website is coming. Very excited. That has been being brought to you by X Canuck, who is on OPE Forum. So for powder, Glock 37, Glock 37 on OPE Forum. And for chassis repairs, Sean Carr, SR Carr on OPE Forum. Sean Carr does welding of crankcases, so he does pretty nice work. And of course, port work by Mike Shetley, also known as Rattler, on OPE Forum, Rattler. I send most of my machining to him. He's in North Carolina. He does a really nice job. So, that's it for the day. Anything else, guys? Any questions, comments, suggestions? If anybody wants 288 crankcases, you can contact me. I've got a bunch of crankcases. They are not cheap. They are pricey. Just to let everybody know. Okay, I'm going to run. Thanks much, guys. You guys have a great day. Any questions, comments, or whatever, you can email me always. Matty05 at AOL.com. Later, guys. Bye.